Welcome back to my channel Conquer the Fear. In this video we are going to discuss about the object class, the root class of all the classes in Java. Now there might be a confusion whether you are a fresher, whether you are a experienced developer. There must be a question which might have been coming to your mind, how an object class is a super class of an every class whatever you are going to create, and or even though if it is not extending, how it is going to be a root class of all the subclasses you are going to create. Now there might be several questions around it. Now I have pasted here, or I have noted the most common confused questions or clarification questions which people ask about object class. Okay, now the questions are, how is the object superclass without explicitly extending it in Java? Okay, now you must be wondering, without writing the extend, how this particular object class is an superclass of all the Java class. Now there might be a question like, when you're attending any interview, can you explain how an inheritance works even when you extend, the keyword object is not explicitly used in the class declaration. Okay, why this is considered to be the root of the classes and all, how does this relation manifest in this particular that don't explicitly extend it. Now how does this object serve as a default superclass for any classes that does not extend another class. Now if a class is declared without using extend class, why it is direct superclass. Now can you explain the implication of the default inheritance from the object class. Now how does every Java class fit into this hierarchy even though it doesn't declare explicitly super. Now these are the questions which are explicitly related to the confusion around, like, without extending, how it is, implicitly taking those details. Now we'll discuss all these particular details in the further slides. Now, Java applies the concept of implicit inheritance from an object. Okay. Now, if you go to the specification, right, it is going to clearly says that class declaration does not explicitly specify. Let's say you are creating a class, okay, and you are not explicitly specifying any class, right, the superclass. Then it is going to extend the key using the extend keyword, right? Then it is going to implicitly extend using that particular object class, it is going to extend implicitly. Okay, now think of this as a fundamental rule, okay, where Java language is going to follow. Now the designer of Java, they wanted all the to have a common ancestor for this, right? All the objects should be belonging to a common object, right? Now this is where actually they have come into design, where they have designed as an object class as an universal uh, super class for all this. So all the behavior which are there in this object should be inherited by each and every object, so it is easy for them to design it. Now why this design is a choice, right? So there are several reasons for having this particular implicit inheritance. Now the very common is the polymorphism. Now if you have an superclass that is an ultimate superclass, what will happen, it will enable you the polymorphism concept, which is one of the oops concept, which is going to be at the very highest level. So at the top level object is going to be the highest level. So now you can treat any objects which is, you create as an implicit object of Java. So this is let's say you have a method, right, which is going to accept object as a parameter. Now it can take any object as an argument, right? And now whether it is an object, whether it is an any of these custom objects which you have created, so that is an object parameter, it is going to take it up. Now there can be a collection like array list which is going to accept generic types as an object, which can hold any type of an object, whether it is any string or any other thing that is going to object it, store in it. Now the behavior wise, if you see, right, the object class, the fundamental things of this, right? So if you go to the object class, you will find all these particular methods, like equals is there, hash code is there, toString is there, get class. Now when are you going to create your own custom class, these all methods will be implicitly available, okay, to that particular custom class. Okay, So finalize method is there, clone method is there. So by having this particular inherited methods in every of this particular, so Java is going to maintain that baseline of functionality that all these particular methods will be available to each objects. Okay. Now hierarchy and compatibility wise, type hierarchy. Now at the root level, as I mentioned, object class is going to be the root, right? Class of this. So in that case, what will be the hierarchy? This is going to be an easy relationship for it. Okay. Now every object, whatever you are going to create, is an object itself, right? So this is going to implicitly apply that. So it can be casted to that particular object at any time. Now when it comes to reflection, right, it is going to inspect, and it is going to manipulate your classes and object at a runtime. Now this is going to rely on certain methods provided by the object class itself. Now there is one method called get class, which reflection uses much for getting this particular information. Now Java already compiles, and then at the compile time it checks all these things, right? Now at the compile time only this particular objects as a root class is enforced. Okay. So the responsibility of Java compiler is that it is going to enforce each every object, whatever, or the class you create, it is going to implicitly inherited those properties, right? So the class definition, if you are having a class without defining any extend keyword, and then then what the compiler will does is that it automatically treat that particular class extended as an the Java object, right? So you can verify this by inspecting the bytecode. Now there are some tools where you can make use of that, like Java P. I will show you in another way where you can actually check that particular details with the help of the IDE. I will show you that in a moment. First, let me complete this particular concept theoretically. Now if you see on the left side, I've written a class over here where I've written a simple class. If you have noticed, I've not written any extend right on it, right? But if you take this particular same class on the right side, if you see, I've written extend object over here. Now this is not something which I've written explicitly, right? This is something which is implicitly going to be taken care by the compiler. Okay. Now even though you did not write the extend on the left side, right? If you see, the Java compiler will treat this particular class as the same thing on the right side. It will explicitly write that particular thing, and it will be making use of this as if, like, it is extending, and then it is going to take the behavior, and therefore this will automatically inherit all the methods, all the members class of that particular object class, and it will be made available to the my class. Now if you I mean, as a fundamental or the principle, whatever it is going to use as a design principle is of an object class, is that it is going to be a common base class for all this particular object which you are going to create. So it is going to be the foundation. Okay. That is the reason you are not explicitly defining or declaring any extent for your custom class. Now we'll move on to the source code. Now I've created one object here as a book. Okay, if you see, I've created a class over here. Now though this is an entity, although this is an custom class which I've created. Now I wanted to show you how object class is implicitly and superclass for all this particular objects whatever you are going to create, right? Now if you see here, I've already showed you, right? These equals methods, what are actually these are all part of the object class, right? Now you see this is going to be overridden over here. Okay. Now for you all to understand how this particular thing is linked to the object class, is that first of all you will see this is an override. Okay. Second, now if you these all methods whichever I am written over here are all part of the object class, right? And then if you see, these are all overridden. The first thing is that the indication that this we are overriding. Now where it is getting overridden from? The object class. Now if you go to this particular, highlight this particular method, now you will see, I will click on this particular, go to the super method. Okay. Now you see here, this particular object class is open over here. Okay. And this is part of this particular equals method, right? Now you see in object class, this is the super class. Now if you see in the hierarchy, the class of the root class are even every, okay. Now you see this is clearly mentioned over here. This is going to be the root for all the classes in the hierarchy. So this is what actually I mentioned, right? In the specification itself, it is mentioned as a super class over here. Okay. Every class has an object as a super class. This is clearly indicating that. Now another thing is that the super class, what we showed you, right, the methods, equals methods over here. Now you see all the methods which are there in this particular object class are all available, right? Wait is there, where then there is a toString, notify, hash code, get class, we already spoke about it. Finalize method is there, equals method is there, clone method is there. Now I hope you got this particular concept of how this particular linked book is related to the object class, right? Now you see here, I've again went to the book class, but you see here there are hash code method, there are these toString methods which are there. Explicitly I've overridden it, but these are all implicitly part of that particular object class. I hope this video was very helpful to you and got an understanding of how object class is going to be a super class, okay, and it gave you a clarification, okay. So it was helpful to you to understand the concept and the internal behavior of Java, right? If this video was very helpful, please share it with the needy people. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe.